barbershop conversation, guys. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. So, I've been watching a lot of Danny Garcia fights, and I'm convinced he has a skill that I would say 80% of fighters don't know. And you guys like, what the hell are you talking about? He ain't fast. He done cherry-picked a few fighters. He done did X, Y, Z. Here's the one thing that I've learned about Danny Garcia watching his fast past 8 to 10 fights. You guys know how I do when I get in fight mode in terms of watching all these fights. He knows who the hell he is as a fighter. And I'm going to give you guys 2 examples of that. The 2 most apparent ones, I know these are at 140, but I'm going to just give you guys an example of who Danny Garcia is. And he did it against Robert Garcia. He did this against, I watched the Robert Garcia fight too. I was live there as well. He did this against Robert Garcia as well. Brandon Rios as well, but I think it's most apparent in these 2 fights where you can visually see it. Let's start with Zab Judah. Zab Judah versus Danny Garcia. Zab Judah versus Danny Garcia. Big fight. I believe that was in Barclay, right? 16,000. No, that was Keith Thurman's attendance. 16,550 people at Keith Thurman fight. That shows how many fights I don't watch. They all bleeding in together. But we all know about the press conferences and the disrespect that went on pre-fight. But let's talk about the fight. Zab Judah. People say he was faster. He was older. He was about 35 years old, 34, 35 years old. We know that. It was in his hometown. People say Zab Judah is faster. All he got to do is move on Danny Garcia. Move on Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia knows who the hell he was in that fight. And I'm going to tell you what led me to believe he knows who the hell he is in that fight. He was consistently going to the body. Consistently just touching him. Consistently just touching him with power shots. Because he knew he wasn't the fastest. Maybe wasn't the strongest that fight, but he probably was the strongest that fight. He wasn't as seasoned. You know, they said in that fight, Zab Judah had more championship rounds than Danny Garcia had rounds throughout his entire career. But Danny Garcia said, you know, I'm probably not as fleet-footed as Zab Judah, but I'm going to just keep on touching his body. Why? Because he's 35. And I don't believe I can catch him if I'm going to chase him. So every time he throws something, I'm going to throw and I'm going to land something. And whether it's small, medium, or large in terms of power, I'm going to touch him. And guess what? We're going to rely on that accumulation factor. What happened? Accumulation factor, unanimous decision. And part 2 to that. Matter of fact, I'm going to add Robert Guerrero into this equation too, because I remember that fight vividly while I was there. Amir Khan. Amir Khan was faster than him. Probably more athletic, quicker hands, quicker feet. I would say Amir Khan was probably a 2-to-1 favorite going into that fight. 1.5, somewhere up there. I don't know what the odds were, but if me watching Amir Khan, watching Danny Garcia, all Amir Khan had to do was box. So you know what Danny Garcia said? You know what? I'm not all of these. Now, Danny Garcia will never tell you this to your face. He will never ever say you're faster than me or you got better hands than me, but he computes all of this when he steps into the ring in round 1 and when he watches tapes. He computes everything and puts it into his own personal computer no matter what his dad tells him to do. He knows who he is in that square circle. He knows every inch of the ring. He knows if I don't get knocked down, it's only a 10-9 round, as evident as the first round against Keith Thurman. I thought that was admirable. I thought that was genius. He said, if I just stand up, he's only going to win 1 round, and I have 11 rounds to go. That's absolute genius. That's absolute great mindset, great IQ in terms as it relates to boxing. But Amir Khan, in that Amir Khan fight, you saw Danny Garcia miss hook after hook, overhand right, left hand hook, miserably. When I say miserably to the point of it looked like he was being outclassed. And the first 2 rounds, 2.5 rounds, 3 rounds, looked like Danny Garcia was completely outclassed. His dad realistically had no answers. He was just telling him cliche type stuff. He wasn't giving him no true direction. No shade on him, but I'm just being realistic. Danny Garcia is computing all of this as the fight is going on. I'm going to tell you how I know he's computing this going on. Since round one, while he was airballing those hooks, airballing those overhand rights, because he said, Danny Garcia said in his head, he says, he's faster, he's quicker, everything, he has every physical advantage, probably with the exception of power. But there's one thing that I can do. I can time Amir Khan coming in, and I can time Amir Khan coming out. Right? Only thing that beats speed is timing, right? And you guys may say, oh, Danny Garcia didn't think that. He did. He probably didn't even know he thought it. But I'm telling you, watching this fight, I knew exactly what Danny Garcia was thinking and or compute. Because sometimes you just do things off of instinct. And then after the fight, people say, you did that? You say, I did? You know, it's happened to me a few times as an athlete. But Danny Garcia has a great computer in his head. He has a great computer. And he deserves credit for that. And it's something that will go unseen to the naked eye. You would have to rewatch his fights 3 and 4 times to fully, truly understand who he is as a fighter. And when he caught Amir Khan, lights out, the fight was over. He hit him one time and Amir Khan never recovered. He either had to catch him coming in or he had to catch him coming out. Now, let me tell you about Robbie Garcia. He went to his complete counter game. All Danny Garcia was move left, circle left, counter the shit out of Robert Garcia. He hit Robert Guerrero, excuse me. Robert Guerrero. So if I say Robert Garcia, I meant to say Robert Guerrero. He hit him with everything. He countered the shit out of him. Why did he counter the shit out of Robert Guerrero? Because he knew he was old, fast twitch, most fight. When he got in the ring, he says, even if this motherfucker hit me, I can hit him with 1 or 2 power shots every time he hits me. What happened that fight? Every time Danny Garcia went left, Robert Guerrero would throw his left hand, but because Danny Garcia is moving left, it would take some steam off of it. And because Robert Guerrero was was a borderline shot, there was showing symptoms of being a shot fighter, he was able to get off. And Robert Guerrero kept on coming forward. We know Robert Guerrero will never, ever take a step back. Never. And that's his claim to fame, and that's why boxing fans love him. But Danny Garcia computed this while he was fighting. And I think it's just genius. I'm going to ask him these questions when I get to New York because I'm watching these fights. I'm like, 3 different ways. He fought 3 different fights and won 3 different ways. As a counterpuncher, as timing, and as a breakdown. Zab Judah, Amir Khan, Robert Guerrero. Feel free to go watch these fights. And you're going to be like, God damn, Fred, you're a genius. You really know boxing. Now, I don't really know boxing. I just watched the shit 3 or 4 times and you can see it. You know what I'm saying? So I just see these things. And for those of you who call Danny Garcia a cherry picker, yes, he had some valley type fighters, but he also had some peak fighters. I don't care what nobody say. Lucas Matisse. See, y'all still getting chills thinking about Lucas Matisse at 140. Y'all still thinking about that, right? Yeah. Y'all remember Lucas Matisse and that tattoo? Y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about. That nigga walked in ready to kill you, right? And it broke y'all hearts when he kept his knee against, he didn't get up off his knee against Posto. You knew his spirit was broken then, right? I knew his spirit was broken. I thought Manny Pacquiao would destroy that kid, and he did. But he fought in between. He fought the guy that Adrian Broner knocked out in the 12th round. The Transformer. I'm trying to think of the kid's name. I don't know, but you guys know who he is. In Cincinnati, he knocked him down in the 12th round. Knocked him down or knocked him out in the last round. But I just think that Danny Garcia has the ability to compute shit while he's fighting. And that is a special, special skill. To not rely. See what a lot of young fighters do, and I'm going to give you the great example I can give you in recent memory. And coincidentally, it was the same night Danny Garcia fought Brandon Rios. Chris Eubanks. Chris Eubanks was more talented, faster, quicker, stronger than Groves. But Groves knew I only can throw 2 punches on him because I'm old, I'm slow. So what I'm going to do? 1-2, hold. 1-2, throw him against her. I don't care how long it takes the ref takes to break us up. 1-2, hold. 1-2. I'm never going to my 3-4 game. I'm never throwing a hook. If I got to throw, I get 1 or 2 low blows in this fight, I'm going to use it until the ref take away a point. Right? Groves won, Chris Eubanks lost. And now we're still wondering, how good is Chris Eubanks? He has all this God-given talent, but have yet to align it with a complete skill. Right? And that's the truth, man. I'm just telling you guys. I watched Danny Garcia, and no matter who I have in this horse, I'm telling you guys, Danny Garcia is one hell of a fighter. Y'all gonna say, Fred, you smoking weed, you're this, you're that. Watch these 3 fights I just named, and you're gonna be very impressed watching it from my vernacular or how I describe this fight. Robert Guerrero, Zab Judah, Amir Khan. Watch the 3 different ways he won these fights. And you say Danny Garcia doesn't move great. You know, he can circle the ring because that's everybody's warm up. When you go into the boxing gym, the first thing you do is learn how to work the ring, right? And if you're right-handed, you're going left, right? Right. You throw the jab, you slip your last punch. You throw your jab, you slip. Throw your jab, you slip. That's just boxing 101. But I'm impressed. And another talent that Danny Garcia has, which is amazing, which is something Mark Jackson had as a pro, and he's a borderline Hall of Famer. He should be. He's 3rd all time in assists. When he retired. 2nd or 1st, something. No, he's never 1st because John Stockton. But he has the ability to force you to fight at his pace. When he circles left, that's his way of slowing down the fight. You got to be able to step to the right against Danny Garcia and hook him to the body, hook him to the hip. It doesn't have to be with power. It doesn't have to be with great anger or great force. You just got to remind him every time you're going right, I'm gonna hit your hip. You got to pull a Salito on him. And that's basically the truth. Hit him on his shoulder so he knows. But you got to meet him there. And that's the challenging part with Danny Garcia because you can get caught chasing him off his right shoulder. If you're chasing Danny Garcia off his right shoulder, you're gonna have a long night. All right, but I just want to give kudos to Danny Garcia. Danny, I watched your fights, and I think your in-game computer you will never ever get credit for. But Fred Hawthorne from Barbershop Conversations giving you absolute credit. I think you're astounding. I watched it with my own eyes, and yes, Danny, you'll never admit this to the day you retire. Yes, you done fought some fucking bums, right? You done fought Vargas. You done fought, what's the kid's name that moved up 20 pounds? That kid, you guys know who I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, he's always showed up. He's always showed up and showed out. He's only lost 1 fight by a split decision, right? So that gives you what type of fighter he is. And I'm going to tell you how great his brain is. I'm just going to reiterate this point. Keith Thurman came to knock him down, knock him out in the 1st round. Danny Garcia was calm as the other side of the pillow, and he's thinking in his head, this is only round 1. If I stand on my feet and get to my corner, I can win round 2. And now we got a brand new fight again. I think that's an extraordinary mindset he had. You can see how calm and his own personal understanding. He might have been a little off balance per se. He might have been, he was hit with a great shot. Let's give the man credit. But he knew exactly where he was and, more importantly, what he had to do to get out of that and only make it a 10-9 round. Beautiful. Salute Danny Garcia. Barbershop Conversations, man. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. I'll say this again. Danny Garcia has a talent that Mike Tyson never ever knew. Mike Tyson never knew who the hell he was in that ring. 50% facade, 50% real. You understand what I'm saying? The bully never ever likes taking a step backwards. Once someone made Mike Tyson take a step backwards, everyone wanted to fight him. Right? Everyone signed up to fight him. But when you went in the ring not believing in yourself, there you have it. Barbershop Conversation. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.